lose all this money to basically try to grow in any way they can. And the best way they can do that is bribery.
Yeah, I also would say that there's just a psychopathic quality to people,
totally
trying to raise this amount of money. I mean, they are, I think, in a race to become the first trillionaire. I mean, they're lunatics. They're sociopaths.
Yep.
Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland on the Majority Report were discussing Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and the other oligarchs, and they brought up a really interesting point about the growth of social media platforms. So we're going to take a look at this clip from the Majority Report with Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland. I'm going to chime in with my thoughts on this. Let's check this out together.
This whole Facebook thing, we are watching this in real time, from the Washington Post pulling their endorsement. I don't know that endorsements mean anything, but it's really more the motivation that is important. And watching.
Did you see that Bezos and Amazon are giving Melania Trump a $40 million deal to do a documentary about her?
Jesus.
Be best.
I am so interesting.
I want to see how she chose like the aesthetic for the Christmas celebrations when Trump was in the White House. That looked like
it was a reflection of my mood and my lack of love for my husband.
The best is that she's just going to have her assistant shoot it on an iPhone and pocket, $39.5 million or whatever it is.
I threw you off, but that was yesterday, right? Just another, Bezos, Tim Cook, Zuckerberg donating $1 million to his inaugural fund. Like, give the king a gift.
This is like, when Sanders would talk about oligarchy, I'm thinking of that. What's the name of those guys out of Princeton who did the research paper that showed, whenever there was a conflict in Congress, that wealthy people's preferences would win out.
Oh, right. I remember that study.
This is a study about 10, 12 years ago. But the nakedness and sort of low rentness of our oligarchy. So, almost overnight, it feels like this quality of it. It was Gillen's, right, and Page, who did that study. Thank you. The low rent quality of this oligarchy, like this is, it's not one-to-one, but in the wake of the Soviet Union collapsing, there was a little bit of a window, but rather quickly it turned into an oligarchy, where, Putin had this relationship with these billionaires, helped them become billionaires. The billionaires helped him maintain his power. Putin a little maybe stronger in some respects because of the nature of the society relative to the oligarchs, right?
I think Sam is correct with what he's saying here, and I think the nakedness comes from there's no real need for the elites and the oligarchs, the plutocrats, whatever term you want to use, to hide anything anymore. We had a time where there was a little more subtlety and they felt like they had to throw some crumbs to all the rest of us that are just the peons. But they're just out in the open about it now. I think back to during the pandemic when they were saying, well, grandma's had a good life, but she's not more important than the economy. And at one time, they would have been a little more nuanced about that. And, with Trump now, everything is transactional. And also, Trump just says whatever he wants. He doesn't try to sugarcoat anything or really speak in the typical politically correct political language. He just says whatever and has had no real consequences of that. He's been able to get elected twice. And I think they've just decided, we're in let them eat cake territory now. They're going to do whatever they want. They've bought off the politicians. They've bought the entire system. And there's really not much that any of us in terms of regular people can do about it. So they can be naked about it, as Sam Seder is saying.
Like, Donald Trump does not have the capacity, it seems to me, to go and send the FBI over to arrest Elon Musk, or to, have him accidentally fall out a window or something like that. So really, in many respects, our oligarchs are more powerful than the ones in states that we associate with oligarchs. But it is so naked. It is so incredibly naked.
Right. And
I mean,
go ahead.
It's disturbing and fascinating.
Well, it's incredible to see these powerful people shaking in their boots, whether it's Morning Joe or even Zuckerberg, who, I feel like these tech companies have reached their natural endpoint of growth, and all they can do is sell more data to people. They're trying to get more users on the platform as well, right?
Well, and now they're going to military contracts to make up for the lack of profitability.
Exactly. So it's all like they had the gimmicks with the metaverse and the glasses that are $3,000 and only rich people can afford as the virtual reality. So they're at their limit in terms of practical things that they can provide, services that they can provide. And so they are highly susceptible, and they have a duty to their shareholders, and they don't want to lose all this money, to basically try to grow in any way they can. And the best way they can do that is bribery. Yeah.
I also would say that there's just a psychopathic quality to people,
totally
trying to raise this amount of money. I mean, they are, I think, in a race to become the first trillionaire. I mean, they're lunatics. They're sociopaths.
Yep.
Does anybody not readily agree to the idea that the executive suite selects for sociopathy? That's a pretty common, ask a normal person, say, hey, do you think the average CEO, like John Ronson's book, The Psychopath Test, posturized that, or hypothesized that most of those people up on the top of these pyramids are psychopaths? I think it's just obvious.
Well, it's weird. We can accurately identify narcissism in our politicians, and I think our country has an easier time saying that. But because we worship capitalism in so many ways, it's and we create this idea that anybody is just one good business decision away from becoming one of the billionaires themselves. There's just this disconnect.
And we still think developers are going to give us housing if we just don't zone them the wrong way.
And I think this is a really excellent point that Emma Vigeland makes that I hadn't really thought about before, is that you have these platforms. Facebook has more than 3 billion users. Instagram has more than 2 billion. And Twitter's at something like 335 million. So where can they really go with the continual growth that you need in our capitalist system, that companies are always trying to have exponential growth? How do you do that with these platforms where you already have billions of users? With Apple, they can bring out a new product for people to buy. So you're going to have continually people buying iPhones or new computers or whatever. But with some of these social media platforms, there are people who are just never going to join them. They've kind of maxed out the number of users that want to be a part of a particular platform. I don't know. I thought it was an interesting thought that I hadn't thought of myself. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, what Emma Vigeland and Sam Seder have to say on the Majority Report on this topic, and what you think about Musk and Zuckerberg and these other oligarchs who own social media platforms. What do you think the direction of this is going to be? I just recently passed 50,000 subscribers. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed. If you haven't subscribed yet and you want to see more content like this, please do so. This is Chris on Culture. I will see you in the next video.